Y'all,
Hey.
welcome. We got a late night episode of the Mixtable for you tonight. We're sitting down with Mila Bucks, Jamila Gray. Tyrone, how are you feeling on this fine evening?
Let me think. I think I'm sitting here with Mila Bucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, we on the come up.
Yes,
But not
sir.
talking about movies, but
Nope.
man, we getting groovy.
Okay.
But I'ma show you how we do it at this 2B. Damn, I'm at this table, plugged in like the cable. Me and all my dudes, we making up a stable.
Okay.
We looking like a team.
Yeah.
We coming for them rings.
Okay.
You know we looking nice. We all dressed too clean.
Ugh.
You know just what I mean, like a fiend spitting dope.
Yeah.
They say I'm too clean, like I'm spitting out the soap.
Ugh.
I put it on the rope. They need an awesome hope. Now go and tell these folks that I am not a joke.
Let's go.
Okay, I guess I'll take it now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm driving around the town.
Yes, sir.
In the car. I'm going really hard.
Let's go.
At the table with Jamila. You know we're going and we're going off.
Yeah.
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 R.I.P. to Takeoff.
R.I.P.
That's sad. You know I had to take off.
Hey.
Spend some time with your family if you get the chance.
Yeah.
I got on some baggy pants. On my feet, on my legs. Working up
Yeah.
to the waist. You know I had to get the bus.
Let's go.
Going in. You know I had to go and get it.
Ugh.
Had to pass it. Jamila, let's get it.
Had to get it.
Yeah.
No, I had to go and get it.
Yeah.
I'ma spit it.
Hey.
No, I'm finna go and spit it.
Spit it.
Got some wheels, yeah, nigga. I'ma fucking spin it.
Spin 'em.
In my whip, yeah, I'm skirting through the fucking rimming. Ooh, what's a rimming?
What is it?
Look, I don't know.
Ooh, hey.
Fuck your bitch.
Whoa, whoa.
Fuck your hoe.
Ooh, hey.
With my mama, chilling in the fucking home.
Hey.
Make sure you say bye to your family before they go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. How is it going, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? My name is Tyrone McClendon. Welcome to another episode of the Mixtable. Of course, across from me, I have my co-host, my producer, my DJ, my best friend, Mr. Young Seppi himself.
Hello
Joseph Middledorf.
to all the beautiful people out there. Thank you once again for joining us here on the Mixtable. As you know, we got a good one here for you tonight.
And as you can see right here in the guest seat here today, it's an honor. We got our first movie star guest here today, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you may know her by her musical escapades. Some of you know her by spinning the ones and twos at your favorite dancery establishment, if you will. Or some of you have seen her in the most recently Paramount Plus exclusive On the Come Up. We have with us the star, Miss Bree herself of the story, Miss Mila Bucks, Jamila Gray.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming by. Please, get it off. All right, it's enough. All right. Jamila, thank you so much for coming by. This has a double meaning for me because this isn't our first podcast interview conversation. Now, a lot of you remember way back in the day, I used to do another podcast thing. Now I do this. But I was at one point I was gonna bring it back, and I was like, dang, I gotta have like a whole different caliber of guests. You know, I wanna do something different. And then, you know, Jamila was one of the first couple people who I reached out to. So I came over, did the whole thing, and then it just never came out. But here we are today. The story still continues. Your story has grown since the last time we've spoke. And I'm glad now I finally get to put the official story out and then build upon that. So thank you so much for coming by.
Of course.
Well, I know I have introduced you and given you the floor and everything, but for the people at home, tell them who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, my name is Jamila Gray, aka Mila Bucks. I am a working actress and also a DJ.
Love it. Yeah, that freestyle took a lot out of me. I'm not gonna lie. As you can see, I'm still
Sweating. It
perspirating.
was so hot.
But it gets the early jitters out, I guess, because then I can just sort of like flow into. I can't say anything more embarrassing, I guess. If I feel like I did, it's like, you know, it's whatever. But Jamila, it's been you've had a very interesting last couple of months, to say the least. You've been in a movie that's been in theaters. I mean, just how does that feel? How is that?
It's very surreal. I think that sometimes when something amazing is happening to you, you don't realize the magnitude of what it is, because you're focused on the work, so your head is down. But when you look up and you realize, wow, this actually happened, it's kind of crazy. And I definitely had a breakdown moment where I was like, whoa, this is amazing. So
yeah, I was just like, at which point, because I'm pretty sure you've gotten this from everybody you've spoken to, that this is even surreal for us around you, because to know somebody, to see them on a billboard, to see them like on the big screen, to see them on ads and stuff like that, it's just like, do you ever get like almost kind of like a secondhand surrealism just from everybody around you trying to make sense of everything?
For sure. I think that everybody, it's cool to be a part of a community where everybody is working towards something, and for them to look at me and be like, wow, like you did it. Like it's really cool. And I just know that like when something happens for one person in a community around a bunch of other people that like have similar goals, then that wave is coming to hit everybody else.
Yeah, I have definitely like seen kind of, you never realize how many people you touch until you do certain things, and then it's just been really cool to just see all the people come out for you, to just kind of, like you said, this whole community, this whole scene, so to speak, just sort of all champion somebody at the same time. It's just a good feeling. I just love when these type of moments happen, because the rising tide lifts everybody. So like you say, a win for you is a win for everybody.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, Jamila, like I said, the last time we spoke, I got to hear your story, but I didn't get to publish it. So now here we are again, second go around, the rewind of the tape.
Did we ever do the math on it? What, 2 years later?
Like a year and a half. Okay. I want to say, I feel like that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
A year and a half of growth that we've seen since then. But let's just take it all the way back from the beginning. Ohio.
Yep.
To Atlanta.
Yep.
Talk about it.
So I lived in Ohio until I was like 7, and I moved here to Clayton County. It's not Atlanta, as Amaretta would say. She would be mad.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Clayton County. I moved to the Ellenwood area, lived there for probably like 2-3 years, and then I moved to the Jonesboro area. Went to school. I was like in chorus and doing like performances and stuff like that since I was young at every school I went to. And then eventually my course teacher in middle school recommended me for this county musical that our whole county would do every year with like all the grade levels from like elementary school to high school. So I did the musical. It was Beauty and the Beast. I played the baker, which,
I have baguettes in my notes.
Exactly. That was my only line. It was like baguettes, and that was it. But I had the time of my life, and the opportunity came around for me to go to a performing arts school after I left middle school. So I was like, heck yeah, because I did not want to go to Monday's Mill. So I did not want to go to Monday's Mill. So I was like, yes, I'm going to this performing arts school. And initially I was going to be a course major, but I changed it and decided to do theater and minor in chorus. So I just started doing, a bunch of plays, musicals. I had the time of my life in high school. It was really fun. And then for our senior portfolio, we had to, in theater, our final was to basically create a play. But I decided to make a film. And that's kind of where I started like writing and decided that I wanted to be in films. And
so let me interject here for a second. So I want to talk, because you said a lot. You got introduced to the arts. What was that? Middle school, high school-ish time. But you also come from a somewhat creative family. Yes.
Yeah.
Speak to how that has kind of, influenced you and led you down your path?
Well, my dad, especially my dad's side, they're all really creative. My granddad is a really good painter, and he also sings, and my dad makes music. So I kind of been in the studio since I was like 5, putting background vocals on my dad's songs and little speeches before he starts his songs, little skits and stuff like that. So I definitely think that it was destined. It was definitely destined.
So were you in school? I mean, you said you were involved with like all the performing arts type stuff. In other classes, when you had to do group projects, were you like a public speaker, or were you still shy even though you liked performing?
A little bit of both. Because even before I started performing, in middle school, I was like a public speaker. So like all of the gatherings or whatever we had, I would go to the front and be the kid that would give the speeches and stuff like that. Yeah. But I've always been kind of shy. It's just, when you get into it, you get into it.
Yeah.
So what do you think were some of the first early things that helped you break out of that shell?
Definitely being in theater, because you cannot be afraid to be weird in theater.
And it's impossible to be the weirdest person in the room.
Yeah.
You can do anything. You're probably not the weirdest person in there.
Exactly. And you have to be loud. I mean, getting on stage, you have to reach the people in the back. So it really taught me to just be big and expressive and use my voice, which is another reason why I love theater.
You mentioned that you started writing your own short stories, or did you mention that?
Yeah.
If you didn't, I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, I did.
That you used to write short stories. What was the inspiration around that? What made you want to graduate from being like, okay, I'm in the stories, but now I want to make my own?
Definitely my project in high school, writing a film, it wasn't great. Like, I mean, nobody's first film is good, but it was just fun to do, and it was another way to express my creativity. It was a good outlet. And after I finished that film, I eventually started writing a feature film that I still have. But I've always, writing is one of those things that I've always done, since I was little. Like, I have little storybooks and stuff like that I wrote when I was 5. I still keep them with me to look back and be like, this is funny.
Is there one that sticks out in your head of all the time,
Yeah, I wrote this story about these people getting stranded on this island when I was 5, and then basically the water was alive, the ocean water, and it would come and haunt them at night. It was, yeah.
Sounds like you
funny.
made Lost before.
Lost times 2.
What I like looking back on old stuff, I've got some old just creative writing assignments that my parents hung on to, and I like going back and looking at them. Because we were talking the other day, good dialogue writers, good voice actors are able to pull themselves out of the they can literally write from another perspective that isn't theirs. And it's really interesting though, going back and looking at your early stuff. It's just it's so concentrated. It's you with all the sliders turned to 100.
Yeah.
The other day I was thinking about when we were in high school, we had an assignment. We had to write poetry, which so funny how life has played out. Because at the time, I did not want to do that assignment. I was like, I hate poetry. But I remember going back and looking at it, and I was like, damn, I am still this person. Because literally the whole thing, all my poems are about how much I just didn't want to write poetry.
I had to do a poetry book in 8th grade, and 75% of them were the same thing.
Yeah.
And I was just such a little shit, and and it's undiluted.
I was like, but I see how this kid turns into who I am today.
Yeah, because that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, I love it though. So talk to me about, so you're doing theater in high school and stuff like that. You're writing your own things. What is, at this point in your life in high school, what are you thinking are you thinking you're going to be an entertainer, actress? Where's your mind at?
I think no. At the time, I was like, maybe I'll just go to school for journalism or something, because when you don't see anybody around you that's actually doing it as a career, you don't really see it as a possibility. But once I graduated, I did end up going to Georgia State for film, or interdisciplinary studies, whatever the fuck that even is.
It's all made up.
Yeah. So I ended up going to school because I knew I just wanted to do something creative. And then I kept at acting. So I would do auditions and stuff in person. And yeah.
So you basically just started the grind.
Yeah, I was like, ain't nothing else to do. And because once I dropped out of school, you know, when you drop out of school, you have to have a plan.
This guy here is a
yeah, I was in school for petroleum engineering, but you know, I'd been playing music since I was 3, and at like graduation, I was just too scared at the time to like really pursue music. So I was like, I'm gonna go to do school, you know. I didn't like it. I dropped out. I was like tutoring math and working at a bong shop, and my parents at the time they're still my parents, but my parents at the time, my parents had just moved to Portugal. And I was like, they were like, do you want to come? And I was like, well, there's nothing I'm doing here that I can't do there. And I don't really have anything else to do. Like, let's go figure it out. And I've spent the last 3 years just like making music and tutoring math and kind of, I mean, a lot of time inside with COVID, but the opposite of a plan, just like going. I don't know.
Cool. That's cool.
So you mentioned you're starting the grind. You're trying to, you know, you're making, well, I guess what I'm about to ask you is explain what is the grind? How does someone like do the work to become an actress or get their foot in the door today?
I think, let me start off by saying I feel like Atlanta is a great place to be right now.
Yes.
For this. But I would say first you have to do your research, okay? Because when I started out, I didn't have a good headshot. I didn't know half of what like on camera acting was, because there's a difference between on camera acting and theater. I didn't know anything about agents, none of that. But let me break it down step by step so I don't just start rambling. So first things first, you want to get a good solid headshot. And you want to do your research on what a good headshot looks like, because you don't want to just have like a phone picture, because once you send that to an agent or to anybody to audition you, they're not going to take you serious. And if you don't have a resume, you want to start off doing a lot of student films, which are easier to book because you work for free, basically. You do a lot of working for free before you end up getting paid. But you can go to, I know certain colleges, you can just literally email the film department and send them your headshot. Yeah. And they'll bring you in if they need you. Like they'll give your information to the students. And then once you have enough footage of yourself acting, if you don't have experience acting, you should definitely take an acting class. You should always be in an acting class just to sharpen the skill. But once you have your footage, you can compile that into a reel, which a reel is what you send out to people so that they can see the work you've done before and know, just kind of decide whether they like you or not. And you also want to submit for agents. When I submitted to my agent, I probably only had like 2 things on my reel, and my headshot was like, but sometimes you just get lucky. And what I did was I went on the film SAG union website, and I submitted to the list of agents that were on there because I just knew that those were like legitimate.
And if we could circle back, you mentioned the acting classes.
Yeah.
What should people be looking for? Like, if somebody's advertising an acting class, what are the real people going to offer, and what's something like to try to avoid? Because I know there's a bunch of people out there just taking your money. So
definitely check the ratings. But if you want to be a film actor, you should definitely take a scene study class, and you should take an on-camera class. You don't really want to stay in a class too long where everybody in the class is a beginner, because you don't grow that way. The way you grow is to get around other people that are good. But if you're just starting out, you can take a good beginner's class that teaches you about the business, but once you learn about the business, then you should move on and not stay in a class that continues to teach you about the business, because that stuff you can look up on your own. You want to find a class that is really teaching you emotional access.
Okay.
So you say that, it's easy to say concrete, but obviously the journey itself is much different. There's a lot of intangibles, so to speak. But one of the things I want to speak to on that, I know, is, with being an actor, you have to deal with auditions and things like that. Sometimes I understand those can sometimes be taxing, like emotionally, just to know, for one, having to bring yourself mentally or wherever you have to be for this role, but then also dealing with the possible rejection, So talk to me about what all does it take mentally to go through this journey, and what's something people should expect?
Well, I think one of the biggest things I've learned thus far is that you're not in control of anything, and you have to literally release all control, because you can do your best in an audition and it takes years before you get even a call back. And even you kind of have to see it as like auditioning is the job. The getting the role is the reward, but auditioning is the job. Most actors audition for years before they get a role, and a lot of actors don't even get auditions. So auditioning is the blessing, and it's literally the job.
Wow, I've never heard it put that way.
Yeah.
And I guess that makes, because we watched the new Purge movie and saw that it was like an $18 million budget. Like, damn, we could get our hands on like
$18 million wasted.
Yeah,
oh god.
But like somebody was willing to like shell out that kind of money to make the movie. But I didn't think about it from this perspective, that somebody is shelling out that amount of money to make the movie, so they're going to be really selective on who they let touch that project. Huh.
Yeah.
Cold world.
Yeah, it's tough.
Speaking of making movies, you have also made your own short films. We've talked about you writing your own short films, but you actually making your own. Sweet Conversation.
Yes.
Throwback for those who remember.
Throwback.
But talk to me about that. That was a short film that you starred in. You wrote, directed, like the whole nine.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that process, how it came about, all of it.
So, let's see, that was 2018, and I was basically listening to like a lot of old jazz music, and for some reason I was just drawn to that era of the 1950s. Tough era for black people, but it's a beautiful era as well, that's life. So I wanted to like kind of write about like my own, I guess, experiences that I felt isolated in a sense, and I wanted to somehow like portray that in a film. And so that's basically what the film was about, is this girl that she eventually gets stuck in her own head and is unable to like interact with the people around her, and it was a psychological thriller.
Okay. That's cool.
But at the time, the process, thankfully, like I had a lot of people around me that were willing to help. Like Jelani's grandparents, his house is where we shot it at, and we literally took the furniture out and brought new furniture in. And I had a friend named Anna who was a set designer in the film business, so she really helped me do everything, because at the time I didn't really know exactly how to get started. So she really guided me step by step. And then I worked at a film lighting company, so they allowed me to use the lights from there for free, and props from there for free. So I had good people around me who were willing to help, and I think that sometimes with stuff like that it can be tough because it can get really expensive. But if you just express your needs, a lot of the time people are willing to help you out for free.
When you're working, because you said you wrote, like directed, you were in it, how do you know when an idea is done? Like, how do you know when you're like, we're done, we're like, it is finished?
So listen, It's set in post-production for like a year. And at a point, it's like, how long am I going to, drag this out? This needs to be done. I got to put it out. And if I don't like something about this one, I can correct myself in the next one, if that makes sense. Because sometimes as an artist, if you get stuck on something, it will never come out. And you have to accept it for what it is and accept it for the things you can't change and just release it.
The last project that I put out was one of those where like I'd gotten it. I was sitting on the songs for like a year and I was like, they were too good to not put out, but but I couldn't focus on anything else because I still just like, well, you go back, tweak something and go, and just like releasing the project, like it releases yourself from the project too. You can just it's done.
Yes.
And move on. You said that you were being like working with these companies, they were able, I've heard that a lot in whatever industry you're trying to get into. Go get a job in that industry and make some connections, and that we've heard that advice for like if you're trying to book venues and stuff, like go work at a venue, go talk to the booking manager, go talk to his friends or their friends, and
it's all about getting that foot in the door.
It is. Yeah. And you'll never be surprised like who other people know and how they may be able to help you, or if they might have a similar goal.
Yeah, I feel like that's still one of my biggest weaknesses right now is just vocalizing, asking for help in this capacity. Because like, I'm not afraid to go to the grocery store and ask like, hey, where do I find the eggs? Because I know people too proud to ask that. But when it comes to like
things you actually want,
I get it.
It's really different when I ask people because I don't know. Because I guess I know I really want it. So to ask, I feel like I'm.
Here's this thing I care very deeply about. Could you do me a favor and not like shit all over it?
Yes.
It's a scary, like, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Even reaching out for guests on this show, like you hit somebody and you're like, hey, you want to be on the show? And already you're like, okay, well, shit. Like, I hope I phrased that like I didn't want to come off like this way or that way. And then like it falls apart and you have to send a second text to like follow up on some details. It just hurt. I was like, I know I'm bothering this person, but like, I'd really like you to be like, come on.
Yeah.
Life sometimes just be one big anxiety attack.
Yeah. Facts. And the thing about it is, nobody is as like pressed about it as you are.
That's always the case. You're always the one doing the most situations,
and nobody else cares.
But that's not how it is from the perspective of you at the time. But that's just how it goes. So now I want to pivot a little bit to a time where you started getting more into your musical side of things. You said you were in chorus, but later on in life, you start dibbling and dabbling into the music world a little bit. First, it starts with DJing, at least from my perspective. How did you get into that?
It was one of those things that just kind of happened. Jelani had bought this tiny Switch DJ board, and I was just playing around with it, and I started posting myself playing around with it on Instagram. And this DJ I know named Jeannie, she was like, do you want to learn how to DJ? And I was like, I mean, shit, why not? And then she was like, okay, do you want to DJ this party? And I was like, okay, I mean, why not? And she literally pulled up to our apartment and she taught me how to DJ on her board and helped me prepare for the party. And then that's how my career started.
So that's another theme I'm hearing in a lot of our interviews is that like if you really want to be successful, start saying yes to things that you're not ready to do. Like things
and then
that
figure it out.
Yeah, like because I look at how I learn the best. Like when I'm really productive, it's when my back is up against a wall on a deadline, something. And so I try to avoid putting myself in that situation with like my career, with my music stuff. I'm like, I don't want to. And then I'm like, why aren't I doing anything?
Yeah, some of my best papers I've ever written have been like after 11:55.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that comfort zone. You got to get out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, and it's easier said than done.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. So what was the reception like, not just from the people, but like you internally after that first show? What were your thoughts on the whole thing?
I enjoy it. I just thought it was really fun. It was something where I didn't have to like think as I did it. I could literally just, this is the shit I listen to. Do y'all want to hear it? And I could pour some Hennessy, not Hennessy, some Jack Daniels at the time with some Coke and literally just play music.
Just vibe.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. So then after the DJing, it then evolves to you actually putting vocals to tracks at that point. So talk about that.
Okay, so I started making music a little out of high school, not consistently, but you know, when it's around you, you got to at least try to make one song, because why not? But I put out my first song in 2020. And it was like, okay, this song feels like the one where, I don't know, I just had fun on it. I hear a lot of progress in myself, and it's just enjoyable to listen to. So I like it. I think that for me, I don't really take I guess the music I'm making or even DJing, I don't take it too serious. I just have fun with it. And then I find that when I'm having fun with it, I get the best result when I'm not trying to overthink about what I'm making.
So I guess, what was I gonna ask? God, I lost my train of thought. Gotta love it when that happens.
I got one. So you said just like kind of being around music, and you're like, well, I gotta jump in. I've talked to some of my other artist friends, and they talk about like they tend not to date other artists because like it's just nice having somebody around that is like in a different universe and can pull you out and kind of balance you. It seemed because I know some people get competitive, and it seems that y'all feed off each other for one. Are you each other's escape from, without getting into too much detail, are you like the escape from just the grind, from the like we gotta always be working, or do you fuel each other on that?
That's a good question. I think that we kind of fuel each other more so, or we teach each other things, if that makes sense. So I can pull Jelani aside and we can watch a movie, and I can be like, so what'd you think about the acting? Okay, this is what I think about the acting, and and I teach him about that. And then he does the same for me with music. Like, he taught me how to make beats and record myself and stuff like that. So I think it's more so we kind of like teach each other what we know in the different fields.
Yeah. Videos,
film shots, aesthetic,
all type of stuff.
To our listeners but not watchers, Jelani's sitting on the couch next to us. If you couldn't hear that, that's what was going on.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the beautiful thing that I like about the whole thing is that, I know you guys personally, and I've been to you guys' space. I've always kind of felt you guys have kept this consistent creative vibe throughout. You guys, like when I first met you guys, you were staying in this studio apartment, and it just seemed like, even though it was a small area, it felt big, if that makes sense. There was a lot going on, and then you guys moved to a space. You guys had more literal space, but there was also now like this more room to do and try different things. I know this is kind of working backwards, but I want to ask, like, when you guys made that move from that smaller space to the big space, did you feel like, okay, it's a different type of creative environment now, or,
Yes, I did. I think I became more, comfortable, and it made me feel like I was a little bit more serious about what I was doing, because in the older space, when I used to do auditions, our space was about the size of a bedroom, our whole space. And so I used to have to tape a backdrop like over one half of the room, like over the front door and shit. The neighbors would be like yelling every time I tried to do an audition. And I was like, this sucks. But now in the space that we're in now, I get to have, an actual setup that I can go to, and it feels like, there's no excuse. Your desk is right there. this backdrop is up. Just get to work, you know?
Yeah, that's what I love, that you basically now, like, it was different when you guys were literally living in the studio, but now it's like your studio is right there. There's not really much of a hassle. And I'm pretty sure you could speak to that as someone who also has like their studio in walking distance.
But I see it's a gift and a curse, because there's times where I'm like, I really just want to chill right now. And so I'll be, I sit in the living room and I just hear it from down the hall, like, you should get to the desk. Like, come, you bought a comfy chair, so you didn't have an excuse. Come get in the desk, get in the lab, do some work. And
that's true too.
And that's kind of been the theme of this whole season, is it's trying to strike a balance between like
working and resting.
Yeah,
that's real. That is real.
Because I've been forcing. I've got like 6 demos right now done for. I think it's going to be an album that I want to put out in the beginning of next year. And I've been working on it for a while, and I was just like, I just kept writing the same song again and again and again. I was like, this is just. And it's been nice coming here, and like I've had this project here to focus on where I'm like, I don't feel bad about not working on something else because I'm still So I guess I didn't really find a balance. I just like I just shifted focus, but it's been helping at least, like, because I don't know, if you don't give yourself a chance to just like, all my songs became about writing songs. And I was like, this is the worst fucking. I had nothing to talk about.
You have to live to make art.
I've written so many songs about having writer's block, and
that's how it goes.
That's true.
So let's advance the story a little bit. So you're making the music, everything like that, and you're doing the auditions from home. You know, you have the setup, so it's an easy knockout and things like that. So at least for me, this is when the last time I spoke to you, this is where the story was. We were at this place, you know, you're doing auditions, you're just in grime, you're having fun. Then I turn around and you're in a movie. So talk to me about how do you even get approached to this? How was the audition process? Just how did this even happen?
Okay, so my agent sent me an audition. I had been auditioning since 2020, because that's when I got my agent. A lot of times when you do auditions, you don't typically hear anything back unless you're like Zendaya or something. So I was working a job. I think I was at the lighting company, and my agent sent me the audition. It was like February of 2021. Did the audition. I really liked it. Some auditions you feel drawn to. Some of them you do it because, it's a good opportunity. You don't want to miss out on an opportunity. But I felt kind of drawn to this one. 6 months went by. Didn't hear anything back from it. And then we were on vacation in South Carolina. We were in South Carolina. Yeah, I think we were in South Carolina. And I got a call from my agent, and he was like, hey, the director wants to read with you. The director is going to be Sanaa Lathan for the project On the Come Up. So just make sure you go over those lines from that audition. I'll resend them in the email, and you're going to get on a call with the director in a couple days. And I was like, what? The audition from, like, what? So I basically got on the call with her. Well, I had to prepare the lines, and I had to also prepare 16 bars to rap, because the role, of course, is she's a rapper. And so Jelani helped me write my verse.
I was about to say, you have like the ultimate cheat code.
Jelani helped me write my verse because they wanted something more like, the word they used was like hard and tough. So I was like, okay.
The Hollywood version of that, I guess. All right.
Hard.
Yeah.
So Jelani helped me write it. I got on the call with Sanaa, and we actually had a call. We had 2 calls. The first call was just so she could look at my setup. And she helped me like set up my lighting virtually and everything, because they really like looked out for me. she helped me set up my lighting and everything, so that they could have the perfect kind of image to send to the producers. And then when we got on the call the next day, I went ahead and did the audition. She read with me, and then we had to. It was a really good audition. Like, one of the scenes was really emotional, and that's always kind of something that would make me nervous. But I was able to hit the beat. I cried, and it was like a really good emotional scene. And then we had to rap, and I did my 16 bars, and they were like, okay, great. Thank you for getting on the call. Thank you. And then about a month later, about 3 weeks later, the writer of the book, because On the Come Up is based off of a novel by Angie Thomas. Angie followed me on Instagram, and I was like, oh my God. And then a week later, I got a call from my agent saying, you got the part. And I was like, and boom.
Wow. I know what that feels like sometimes, to just, set it and forget it. You apply to something, whatever, no care in the world, and then just like out of nowhere, you're like, oh my God, like, I've won,
Yeah.
Something like that. Now, usually for most people, it's like something very minuscule, something like, oh, I forgot, like, I applied for that coupon or something like that.
Speaking of, y'all got your Powerball tickets?
Oh, we were just talking about that.
Gotta get on that. Hopefully, you could be a winner if you're watching this.
You might be lucky.
And if this episode doesn't come out, you know why.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
If you don't see this episode, you know why you didn't see it.
Yeah. So you've got the part now, like, have you ever, this is like a major motion picture production, have you ever been around anything like that on that level at that point?
No. Well, I had done extra work when I graduated, so it's not the same.
But that was the closest.
Yeah, that was the closest I had been to it.
So what was it like, from
your first day on set, you walk on and you have to like go talk to people and interact, like, hey, I'm here, let's make a movie.
It's cool. It's really cool that they definitely treat you like royalty. Like,
wow.
You pull up. Well, actually, no. A van pulls up to your house. You get on the van. Hi, Jamila. They drive you to set. And then somebody opens the door for you once you arrive to set. Hi, I am your assistant, and I'm gonna help you. Let me show you to your trailer. They take you to your trailer. Then they come back. Your wardrobe is already like hanging up, ready for you, like for the day, and a copy of the scenes that you're doing are on your desk. And then they knock on your door. What do you want for breakfast? They write down what you want, and then they walk away. They come back. They bring you breakfast. You go to hair and makeup.
Am I at work or on vacation?
It's so fun. It is so fun.
Wow, I'm happy you got to experience that, for one. So did you like? I'm lost for words right now. Would you say, like, describe what it was like, going from being on set, especially like your own productions, to now seeing productions done on this level? Like, what did that do for you as far as like, oh damn, like I can step this up, or I can do this a little differently, like that?
Oh, it taught me the process for sure. I think coming in, there was just a lot to learn, especially because like you said, I had never been on a set of that magnitude. So it really taught me, okay, this is how a set is run. This is the order in which they shoot scenes and shots. Even down to, because I got to sit in on like a lot of the pre-production too. So even down to seeing how coordinated and planned out everything was. Like, I got to sit in on I believe a meeting about, in the film there's a boxing ring.
Yep.
And I watched them like design the different emblems that would be on the ground in the boxing ring. And I was like, wow, they really go into detail here with everything.
Wow.
And there's literally a department for everything.
That explains all those names at the end of the movies are there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was there a come down? Like you leave?
I see what you did there on the come up.
And then the come down.
This
Ooh.
guy here, everybody. you know. All right.
I'll be here all week. But yeah, so you go. You're living your dreams. You got people waiting on you. Like you wake up the first day, shooting is done. You're at home.
Yes.
Did you turn to Jelani? It's like, all right, where's breakfast? Or
I was like, damn, I gotta cook my own food. Yeah, there definitely is. Well, when you're on set and you're shooting every day, there kind of is no come down, because you go home and then you read your lines and you study them, and then you go to bed because you gotta get on that van at 4 a.m. But
so you didn't mention that the first time around.
oh yeah,
came up at 4 a.m.
You got it. Some days it's 2 p.m. Some days it's 6 a.m. Some days it's 4 a.m.
Nice.
You got to be on that van. So you're kind of just like in work mode. But once the process is over and like filming is wrapped, oh, the come down is crazy. It's so bittersweet. It is so bittersweet.
I bet.
How long between your last day on set and the first time you got to see like a cut of the movie, like beginning to end?
I just got to see the cut of the movie in September, like when it premiered.
Wow.
So you didn't even get to see it ahead of time?
No, I didn't.
Wow. I always hear the stories of like people like, I literally had no idea this movie was gonna look like this until I saw it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
What is
I
that
got to
like?
see. Oh God.
Like my 10-minute tape that I put out, I must have listened to 50 times. Like after the last mix was done, I was like, okay, yeah, it sounds good. Like that's so much faith in other people to not have you out here looking stupid. Like,
yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, I think that. Well, watching it back for the first time, it was a high, because it was at the Toronto Film Festival, so I was like in a different country, and like it was just, the whole experience was crazy.
Yeah.
But I think in the moment, as an actor, you're always judging yourself when you're watching yourself back. But I couldn't feel anything other than joy when I was watching it back, because it was like, wow, look what we've done. You know, look at what's happening here. This is a movie and it's actually finished, and people are watching it. People are watching us. Like, I couldn't feel anything other than joy in that moment.
Now I want to speak to, now I've been watching a little bit of the press you've been doing for the movie, and it seems like, one of the big things that you've gained out of this is seems like almost like a mentorship like relationship with you and Rhapsody. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about how that relationship came to be and how it blossomed, and just like how you view her.
I love Rhapsody. So she was basically my rap coach for the film. So we started kind of working on the film about 2 months before we started filming. And I would meet her at her hotel, or we would go and get lunch, or she would have me in the studio and we would just practice rapping. So my delivery as Bree, and my tone of voice, and my breathing, and she also wrote all the battles. So we would record the battles she wrote and just plan them out and choreograph them as well. And so that's kind of how we got to like form the relationship. We were just around each other all the time, and we had a lot in common. As far as like our birthdays are around the same time, and like our family dynamic is the same. So like meeting her, it already felt like somebody that I've already known. So we became really good friends, and we still are. That's like my sister mentor person. Yeah, I love Rhapsody.
I've always wanted to know this about like making like the individual scenes that you were doing. How much of those were 100% scripted, and how much was it like, here's basically what's going on in the scene, and we want you to kind of feel out like, what would you say if you were in the scene? What would you say? Was there a hard script for every scene, or were some of them a little loose?
Yeah, usually it depends on the director, but with this one, she was really anal about us sticking to the script. So most of the scenes were, really all of the scenes in the movie, we stuck to the script.
Okay.
Now, one of the last things I wanted to ask you was that, in watching the movie, it is a little surreal to see somebody on the movie screen. It's almost like a weird thing separating the person from the character. But an interesting thing about the character Bree here is that I do see a little bit of similarities between you and Bree, whether it be having a father who's a rapper, whether it be just like being as connected to the music underground scene as Bree's character is. But I want to ask you, what are some of the connections you felt like you had to the main character, and just how do you feel that your experience in music and arts and everything helped amplify your performance?
Okay. I think one of the connections that I had to Bree was just her hunger and desire to make things happen. I think that I've been at low points as well, where it's like, okay, I gotta make something happen, but I have to stay true to myself in the process of doing that and not just settle for anything because I'm desperate for something to happen. So that was how I kind of connected to her. But then also being, connected to music and that being an outlet for her to just truly express her vulnerability, I found that it's been the same for me. And I found that it's been easier to, grasp the music technique because, again, I've been around it my whole life. So, yeah.
Love it. I just want to say I've always wanted to ask that question. So, I always wanted to interview an actor, be like, how are you in the character,
Similar.
What did you learn from that, those type of deals?
So that's what I've like, the more I get older, I see that's really all life is just people checking things off. They're like, I think it would be cool. This whole show has led up to him just being able to ask that question.
Yep, I'm done now.
Yeah, everybody's just kind of playing make believe with the shit that they wanted to do when they couldn't do it.
And until it happens. Until it happens.
But it has happened for you though, and this is only just the beginning though. So I guess now my question for you is obviously you want to do more movies, but what is next as far as the elevation for you? How does it go bigger and better for you?
I know for sure the next project that I work on, I want of course to be around more people that I can learn from, but I also want it to be gritty and very real and emotional and raw, and something that, of course, not only something that everyone can connect to emotionally. I don't know, that's the best way I can put it. That's
a real tearjerker.
Yeah, real tearjerker. But I also want to step into dark comedy because I feel like there's that side of me, and doing a dramatic role like that one where I had to be serious the whole time, even in scenes where I wanted to just be I realized that comedy might be a really good lane for me because I'm goofy all the time.
I could see you in a Jordan Peele film or something.
I love Jordan Peele.
As a kid, what was that comedy movie that really connected with you that your parents hated? What was
Waterboy?
My boy Bobby Boucher.
Waterboy is so stupid. I love that movie.
Gotta love that OG Adam Sandler time period. Okay, well, we've kind of made it here to the end. We're gonna bookend things here. We started off with our nice little freestyle fun times. We're gonna end it that way, but this time we're gonna add a little bit of a caveat to it. So, with the help of you, judging from our conversation that we've had here today, I want you to pick out 3 words. They can be actual words we've said, a theme, or a topic that we've talked about today, but give me 3. And that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay. We're going to talk about persistence.
Persistence.
We're going to talk about Bobby Boucher.
Bobby Boucher.
And we're going to talk about high school.
High school. So persistence, Bobby Boucher.
high school?
High school. Mama said. Okay, and what type of beat are we gonna do this on?
I'm just gonna put up like
Waterboy type beat.
I'm gonna just like
Waterboy type beat.
Cajun type beat.
Cajun type beat.
Okay.
NBA Youngboy type
NBA
beat.
Youngboy type beat.
Okay, yeah, because Waterboy is just a producer, so
Yeah.
pull a Waterboy type beat. And
Funny thing is, this whole show we've not done an NBA Youngboy type beat.
all right, let's Youngboy.
Zaytoven.
Okay. What do we got? Youngboy type beat. There's a lot of them.
I'm sure.
There's a lot of them. Let's find one that's over 3 minutes long.
Oh God.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Jelani.
Okay, which one sounds better? On You by Drum Dummy.
Okay.
Or On My Own by One Baby Plug with 2 G's.
One Baby Plug
Okay.
with 2 G's.
Plug.
Here we go. Let's see what we got.
Baby Plug's beat trim.
All right. Well, let's hear the beat first before we go making those statements.
Persistence, Bobby Boucher, High School.
Persistence. You ready?
Oh, okay.
I want to hear the drop at least.
I was about to say, please take it away.
I've been persistent since I was in high school. Everybody missing, but I had all the tools. I was hitting them on the head with these, feel like Bobby Boucher. I got some water, water on me.
Ooh.
And I'm sipping, it's cleaning me out. And I don't give a fuck, cause I ain't finna doubt that I'm the finest in the game. You know what it is. I ain't playing with you, this ain't the field.
No.
And we don't do football, no Bobby Boucher. We don't do football, no Bobby Boucher.
Oh. Hey, it's my turn. Okay. Had to go and let it burn. Call me Usher. Had to go and get the fucking high school. Get my degree. I'm real cool. I had to try real hard. That's persistence.
Yeah.
I'm in the fucking table. I'm in the fucking mix with it.
Yes, sir.
I had to go and use the fucking hit stick. Call me Bobby Boucher. I'm in the fucking mystic. I'm fucking coming off the top. Super fucking flip stick. Rip stick on the skateboard. Okay.
Okay. Everybody just go run the distance, but I just keep it going, so persistent.
Okay.
I just flip this like I did this. Turn the lights on cause I'm so dim-witted.
Yep.
But no, I'm kinda bright. I'm too fly like I've been on a kite.
Okay.
I'm on the site like I'm riding a bike.
Okay.
But I'm about to go and just give me a bite like I was eating lunch in high school. But back then they tried to turn me to a fool. I never drool, I don't spit. I come in here, I give them real shit. Cause I forgot the last word.
Persistence, Bobby Boucher in high school.
Now let me get the other word. So let me come and just bring it around the curve.
Yep.
I don't know what to say, but I go and hit the field like I'm Bobby Boucher. But I just bring the noise. They catch me on the corner like I was a water boy. I don't know. I in the flow. They just know that this is how it goes on this show.
Yes, sir.
Yup.
Yes, sir.
Don't I have cowbell on here?
We did.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Jamila, thank you so much for coming up here today. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me to have you up here. I guess the last thing for you is to let the people know where they can find you, where they can see on the come up, and everything you've got coming up in the future.
So you can follow me on Instagram at Milla Bucks and on Twitter at BucksMilla and on TikTok at Milla Bucks. Go watch On the Come Up, Paramount Plus. It is out right now. And they're doing a free trial, so you better go get it. Okay?
Joe,
You know what time it is. We are here at the end of the show. In the description of the video, in the description of the podcast you're listening to, you'll see a playlist, and it's going to have every single beat that you heard tonight, every single one. Most of those people had 200 subscribers or less. They need your support. You heard the shit that they just put out. Go listen to it. Go stream it. Go buy some music. Go tell your friends to buy some music. Your friends that make art, your friends that make music, go buy that shit. Spend some money in the community that makes all this shit possible. Tyrone, take us home.
You said it, buddy.
Oh shit, wait, no, hold up. Oh. Also, go stream Bento. I got a new project coming out at some point. Go stream that shit too. And now, Tyrone, please take us home.
And thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to do it for this episode. Once again, I want to thank Jamila for coming through, being so open, and just having a good time with us. And I want to thank Joe for doing what you do on the ones and twos. And of course, I want to thank all of you people for listening. Tune in next time, where I'm going to have somebody sitting in Jamila's seat, and we are going to be mixing it up.
One more while we still got the cameras rolling. One more thank you.
Okay.
The song you're listening to right now, Jelani Amani. Thank you for bringing this to the show, our end jingle.
He can't hear anything that we're listening to right now.
For 3 straight seasons.
All right.
This is produced by Jelani. He's in the studio today, so thank you to him as well.
Shout out to us. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, tune in next time where we're going to be mixing up, and have a good one.